Hollywood, Florida Regional has come and gone, and to be honest with you, there was a lot of little interactions with Punk here that definitely made this regional worth looking at. And yes, when I see two Adventure Punk decks in the same regional top cut, you're like, And yes, that is a Nemesis package as well. Big 30% of you guys have not smashed the F11 crap out of the subscribe button. Smash it so we can climb up the 100K ladder here. Now, this pie chart is probably very, straightforward to you guys. You're like, oh yeah, it's 4 Sprite. You're like, okay, why do we care about that? Well, one of these crazy duelists out here decided that they wanted to play a Nemesis package in their frog deck, and you're like, really? Yeah, Nemesis flag is a level 2, by the way, which means that you get access to some little interesting interactions within your deck here, and we'll talk about that more here in a second in terms of how that unfolds and how that works. But your frog sprite variant obviously is going to be your more dominating one. You've seen enough of these sprite decks at this point within these videos that you're seeing how these decks are evolving now to kind of test out new ideas. Obviously, you can streamline things 100%, or you can experiment. And we're seeing more experimentation out here. We also had 2 Adventure Punk decks out here, which I love the fact that we classify these as pile decks now within the grand scheme of things. Because to be honest with you, I mean, they are essentially pile decks, all right? The whole thing with these decks is they want to be able to circulate through their big plays, 60 cards. One of these ends up being an Eldritch variant within the top cut. But I mean, are you surprised to hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Because you shouldn't be. All right, we also had a Tier Element 3 on deck. Now, the concept of that feels kind of interesting in terms of, the power and how it wants to go about its day. So that's definitely an interesting takeaway from this event as well. And then, of course, you had a Flanders duelist. Now, Flanders has been holding on for dear life here as one of those rogue contenders, and it has definitely been an experience, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you what. Now, we're going to pass on over to the top deck list out of this event. All right, so to start things off here, we have Kamal's first place list out of the regional, and once again, I can't be too excited when every one of these 9,000 sprite lists all look essentially the same to me. Now, of course, you're going to take advantage of those tactical talents in order to win the game. Now, I did see a lot of builds that were playing triple tack at 3, and then you're starting to see a little bit more of a reduction as the format is going on here, so not too bad. We also have ye old red resonator down here. Normal summon special summon level 4 or lower from your hand, and then when this is special summon, target one face of monster in the field, gain life points equal to its attack. Does that mean that that's a time extender there? Gain some life points due to the time rules? Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of the situation you find yourself in here when you're looking at how this is all setting up, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, you do what you got to do in order to be successful within the top cut, and having something like Red Resonator to assist you. Yup, it'd be like that sometimes. Alright, as we move on along here, we have Adventure Punk. Now, this is the first time that I've seen Mare do crap. I think this is exciting. Alright, when you could pull back up and you can take a look at, the former interactions that Based was out here, it definitely is a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. You love to see power within the format and, free bodies on the field for you to be able to climb up with and do synchro plays. Absolutely. I think the first thing that catches me off guard is we're playing a Master Flare Hyperion in here. Alright, well that's interesting. Quick effect and banish a fairy monster from hand or graveyard, target 1 card on the field and banish it. We're getting really creative in here. Is that also an Oxel Synchron? Yes, it is. Alright, now I definitely think in terms of your synchro toolboxes that this might be one of the cooler variants out here that we have seen get the chance to do something. Good stuff, man. Next up here is a Flaunder list. Now, Flaunder's been trying to do so many cool, weird things out here. To be honest with you, I mean, is main decking this really that weird? I don't think so. I think having them built in main deck out to this kind of curves out some of the established weaknesses that you see with something like Flunder. I mean, it's literally a free Dark Ruler No More that you're already main decking Dark Ruler No More for. You know, like the difference between like this and Droplet is, you know, Droplet requires a cost of sacrificing cards. Ultimate Slayer and Dark Ruler No More are free real estate effectively for what you need them to do. So, okay, I perfectly understand why this particular variant of Flunder was able to do well. Alright, just surprised we're not actually main decking this as well, but alright, it all works out. Next up here is another sprite list. Now this is what I'm talking about in terms of like your more norm. Like you see like the triple tactic talents being brought in and they do their job that they need to do in order to kind of streamline the overall approach that you need. Now, we're also playing good old Ready Fusion down here so that you can step on in to the Alvane here so you can do your job to make Hauki Fibrex. But we're not playing Hauki Fibrex. We don't care about that. The only thing we care about is this is an acting level 2 monster. You can go ahead and step into, you know, Sprite Elf or Gigantic for whichever part of your combo you need. Honestly, we're playing Dahark here to rip things out of the opponent's extra deck. No IP, no Avermax, though a lot of people do look at IP and Avermax as essential staples at this point in the format. Either way, it comes down to what your preference is in terms of deck building to be successful with. So I don't see an issue with either of these inclusions for what you want to do. It just comes down to what you yourself want to do. Next up is, holy moly, this is our Eldritch variant. We found the Eldritch variant. Alright, so straight off the bat here, 60 cards rammed into this bad boy. Now, this is what we saw very... I don't want to, like, say that Triff was one of the earlier ideas with this. I just remember Triff's build being one of the more recent ones I saw out of, like, the 60-card piles for this. It's definitely way more jam-packed for combo, man. Triple Crystal, I think people are really trying to cut back on Eldland in this, because I remember seeing a couple builds that were showing up as 2-ofs here. Of course, Double Higuero, the Triple Scarlet, the Triple Conk are going to be your trap assets in order for you to do your thing. Your Magician Souls package might feel a little bit hollowed out as well, but there's no problem with like having your slightly reduced numbers on this. Like this all ends up working out in the overall long run. Outside of that, you still look like you have a very solid game plan for what you want to do, which is going to be end up winning the game. Yay, synchro combo decks. You love to see it. Finally, something interesting. Nemesis Flag. Target one of your banished monsters, except for Nemesis Flag. Special summon this card from hand, and if you do, shuffle that target into the deck. Huh. That puts a frog back in my deck. During your main phase, you can add one Nemesis monster from your deck to your hand, except for Nemesis Flag. We don't... You don't care, except for we play Arch Nemesis Escantos here. You know, Protoss might be banned, but we can do this. Must be special summoned from your hand by banishing 3 monsters with different types from your graveyard and or face up on the field. This thing cannot be destroyed by card effects, and you can declare 1 monster type on the field. Destroy all monsters on the field with that type. Also, till the end of the next turn, neither player can special summon monsters with that type. Well, shucky darn, ladies and gentlemen, what you're telling me here is I can search for this stupid thing off of this, and then, you know, you just start off with this in very, like, full power sprite combo. Okay, well, that feels really good. And then, of course, you're starting to see Nightmare Corruptor Ibli show up again. We've seen this in a couple of builds where maybe in a not-so-dominated sprite format here, where something like this ends up doing its job. Yeah, it really is one of the more interesting things. I also see, of course, we're doing IP shenanigans, and then we're playing the Unicorn as our go-into target for an additional interruption. I mean, you can pick Unicorn, or you can play the, what's it called? You can play Avermax in order for go the full interruption on your opponent. Either or ends up working out here. Then we have one more deck list out of this regional. This is your 23rd place list. The reason why I ended up wanting to show this is anytime we can see more Eldritch success out here, and, you know, kind of see the things that players are going for, it ends up working out. I see we're main decking those Lava Golems over, you know, like the Sphere Modes. Obviously, your opponent establishing 2 bodies on the field versus 3 should end up working out a little bit better for you. You're just kind of trying to reduce your dead draws. And yes, That is Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, ladies and gentlemen. I have not seen Shadow Imprisoning in so frickin' long. But you know what? It's one of the oldest acting floodgates within the game. And anytime that you can see this card show up and do its job, I think it's always going to be a good thing. So outside of that, there's nothing else too crazy about this list that piques my fancy. But that is your regional breakdown here for the South Florida Regional for Hollywood. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of the subscribe button. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.